Dave here with Half Dozen Customs. Back out here on the Jeep, you know, after getting this grill stripped. And I told you that in the next video we were going to be, you know, doing the dashboard and the vent and whatnot, which we are. We're going to get to that. But real quick, I'm just going to throw the grill back on and the fenders back on for two reasons. One, just to get them out of the way. And then for two, I do want to get pictures of this thing in bare metal. We still got to finish sandblasting the hood. Not today, but then once the hood's all stripped down, we'll roll it outside and we'll get some pictures of it. So, real quick, I'm gonna throw these on. I know that that's, you know, not the most exciting content. And in the past, I've usually shut the camera off when I'm putting the front end on or taking it off because you guys have seen it before. But I guess this is the first time that we've seen it going back together in bare metal. So. Alright, we are going to do the best we can to not scratch the frame. So we haven't put anything back together on this thing since the frame's been painted. Before I didn't care banging into anything. I'm gonna put some tape along this edge because that would be what would scratch the frame. I'll be right back. I gotta find the hardware. I found driver's side fender. Passenger side wasn't with it, so there's a lot of bags to dig through. Okay, somehow I have lost the hardware for both fenders. I have a little red cart, you know, that you can push around your vehicle or whatnot. It's got a couple shelves on it. And that's where I have all the parts for this Jeep. Every single nut, bolt, everything that I took off this Jeep is on that cart, and they're all bagged and tagged. There's no miscellaneous bolts laying around, no nothing. They're all in bags, they're all tagged. I found one that says driver's side fender, but looking through this hardware that's in here, there's only one bolt in here that I'm actually looking for. The firewall, where this mounts to the firewall, it is all like metric, super fine thread bolts. Like, you know, here's what belongs in a fender. Here's just a standard bolt. You can see the threads. Like, it's a weird bolt. Only thing that I can think of is they're in the back of the bed, which is a very good possibility. I know that there was stuff in the back of the bed. So hopefully that's where they're at, because my shop ain't that big and I keep track of everything. I bag everything, I label everything. I know where everything's at. So for those to be missing, and both sides, yeah, they gotta be in that bed, which is not here. So I did find a couple of bolts, enough that we can, I have 4 bolts, so we can put 2 on each side. There's supposed to be 6. So, you know, we're only missing 2 bolts at the moment, and it's not like this is the last time this is going together. So, so we'll put it together with 2 bolts on each side, and we should be okay. So let's attempt to put this back together. Just bothers me that there's hardware missing. Put her gloves on. I can't believe how much surface rust just came back on these fenders. I'm gonna have to sandblast them again. Just all came back in a matter of days. Alright, well, it's cool. We haven't seen that together in a while, let alone in bare metal, so I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna put a couple more bolts in it just so that everything fits a little tighter, a little nicer, and we'll be back to start on the dashboard. See you guys in a bit. Alright, well, we're in here by the dashboard. I grabbed a couple scrap pieces of metal out of my tray over there. And we're gonna go through and we're just gonna start marking these holes that we're gonna weld up. There's a lot of holes on this dashboard that don't belong here, so that's all those. Now I'm gonna sit here and we'll cut these out with the metal shears, or whatever you want to call them, tin snips. If I can find them. Oh, here they are. These guys. So, if you've watched some of my other videos, you've seen me do little stuff like this before. Just kind of roughly nip them out, and then I'll use the vice grips and a grinder to do some final fitment. I'm sure we could, some of these smaller ones, I'm sure we could just put my copper backing behind it and weld them up. But I think it makes it a little nicer on the back side if you just take the time to cut out a couple of small filler pieces. Now these might not be perfect because I couldn't get them to fully lay in the back. There was some kind of braces or mounts or something back there for the that big center hole was for the gauges, and there must be some kind of mounts or something back there for the gauges. I didn't take the gauges out, the owner did, and it's not going back in. So I don't know what all these holes were for. Some of them, they had random switches in there. There was a key in there, and stuff like that. And we were going to use one of the holes to put the key back in, but I don't think I've shown it yet on video, but we got this nice double din screen that mounts in there, and it covers that whole hole. I don't know that we're gonna have to weld up that hole, but we're gonna have to make some kind of brackets to mount that double din in there, and we'll make it so that it mounts flush with the dashboard so that you don't see that giant hole behind it. And it has speedometer and tachometer and all this stuff. It plugs into the OBD2 on the motor, and then it gives you all the information. I think the only thing that it doesn't do is maybe oil pressure, maybe temperature. I don't know. I know that there was something that it didn't do. So we'll have to mount a little gauge somewhere else for that. But other than that, it gives you everything you need to be able to drive the vehicle. So that'll be going in, and it covers up some of these other holes that are in here. So we can't put the accessory stuff in there like keys or switches or anything like that. So we're going to weld up all the holes on the dashboard that were put in there previously, and then we're going to, like I said, we're going to finish up that vent thing in there and get that new radio mounted in there. Radio, dashboard, cluster, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of a mixture of everything, and then hopefully that'll all be done, and then we'll have to figure out where we're going to put the key, and drill a hole for that, or make something up that's underneath the dashboard, maybe, that has a key there, so that way the dashboard stays nice and clean. But who knows, we'll figure that out later. Right now we're just gonna grind these up and clean these up. So let me pick up all this scrap metal real quick, and then we'll grind those up. Put him down, let him cool off a minute. We'll do another one. Thing the other day, this thing got loose on me, and I put it in the vise, and I tried to tighten it up. I got it tight again, but now you can see this thing's way over to the side, and this thing is berserk crazy now. It's like got super RPM to it. That one was a very brutal hole there. Alright, so I don't know what this hole was up here for. These two top holes that are up here are for these little rubber doohickeys to go in, so there's no vibration. We don't have them. Maybe we can get them. I don't know. But these two down here, I'm not really sure if those are factory or not. You know, this one's like right on the edge of it. This one's not. Now we're taking the glove box door off of the white Jeep that's out there, and we're gonna put that in here. They had some gauges in here before, there's a little tab here for the glove box door to latch on. But last week I was at a show that there was actually like an original one there, like barn find, and I was looking at it, and there was no button on the door. It looked to me like it was just a cover. So I don't know if this thing's supposed to have a working door or not. I don't think that we're going to be able to make it work, because all the steering stuff mounts to the bottom of this here, and for the thing to open, we would have to cut out a notch out of the door for it to open and be able to clear all this down here. So I don't think that we're going to be making it open. We'll just notch out the bottom of the door a little bit, and then we'll get it permanently fixed on there. We'll make it unbolt and bolt on or whatnot. You know, I'm thinking that these 4 holes that are here, we may take the glove box door and then weld a couple of screws to it, so that you can bolt it from the back. So I was kind of wondering about it before, you know, about making it open or whatnot. I was actually going to make like a glove box piece for the back so that you had a second glove box here. But then I was worried about the door. But then seeing that one at the show the other day that was like a barn find, like this thing was untouched. And it was a solid cover. It did not open. So I think that kind of sealed the deal on what we're gonna do. For some odd reason, I don't think that this dashboard is grounded very well. Okay, like normal, I closed out the video and went to shut the camera off, and you guys were already off. So I don't know what you seen and what you didn't. You know, when I'm working, when I'm grinding, or when the compressor's running, I don't hear the camera go beep, beep, beep. So unfortunately, I just don't know when it happens. But we got everything. We got everything tacked in place. We still gotta go through. This one I welded up solid. I tried to put the little guy in there, and every time I tried to weld it, it just kept pushing it out. So we just welded it up. But we got everything tacked in place. All right, well, we're back out here on the dashboard, and we are going to finish welding everything up here and get it grinded up and cleaned up. So let's hop to it. Clean this one up. It's got a big booger on it. well, that was it. We made quick work of that. So, now, you know, besides doing that, you know, we're gonna end up stripping the dashboard. I wasn't originally going to, but I was looking at it yesterday, and it's pretty rough shape. So it looks like it was in rough shape before, and then somebody painted over it, and it's still in rough shape, and you can see it through the paint. So, and everything that I've grinded on so far, you know, just grinding up this stuff, like it's gumming up the sanding discs. You can see it in there. So, you know, whatever's on there is not the best paint. I see it's cracking and lifting everywhere. So, so yeah, we're gonna end up stripping that, and then, like I said, I think next we're gonna kind of mess between the radio and the vent thing. We gotta finish up the vent thing and make that work. But I also need to just double check and make sure the radio setup that we're putting in there is going to clear everything and not be in the way of nothing. I don't think we're going to have any issues. This double din radio setup that we bought, I mean, it's only like this deep. So, you know, if you look at, well, you're wrapped up in this seatbelt. So, if you look at what we got going on here, so this of course is just a clamp that will come out of there, but this is what we got to make sure that we clear. And I don't see us having any issues with that. But we just need to, you know, we need to double check and make sure, because, you know, worst case scenario, right now where I have it, it's awesome because you won't see it anywhere. But if I have to lower down that motor to do what it needs to do to clear everything, then we need to do that now, you know, before we finalize everything. So I think that'll be next. I'll probably end up bringing the radio out here. We'll test fit it with where everything's sitting right now, because where everything is sitting right now, the vent works. It opens and closes beautifully. So we're good there. Another thing that we'd need to check besides just the clearance of the radio is that there is a rubber seal that goes underneath that vent. It wasn't there before. If you remember, that vent was glued shut. It wasn't even hooked up to anything. All the mechanisms to open and close it were gone. That's why we ended up going electric with it. So we need to get that seal around there, I guess, and make sure that it opens and closes with that seal. It's a pretty thick steel and it's pretty stout, meaning that, like, it's not going to squish easy. So we kind of need to make sure that it's going to open and close properly with that seal on there. So and the main thing is, like, I know it'll open and close with the seal on there, but we need to make sure that, like, because the motor has a start and a stop. And if that seal is pulling tight onto the truck and there's still more to that motor pulling, you know, I don't want it to dent the cowl. So we need to make sure that, like, the motor is stopping at the exact point that it's sealing. So that might entail of moving that, you know, that motor back and forth. So that's something else that I got to look into. What I really need to do is we need to take that vent off, we need to sandblast it, get it painted, and put the seal on, so that, because the seal gets glued on, so kind of hard to put the seal on and test everything if it's just loosely sitting there. So it kind of needs to be finished and glued on so that we can test everything. It's a pain in the butt. But, you know, it's something that we got to do, and we're headed that direction. You know, there's several things that we need to button up. Like, for one, I need to get the glove box door off of the other one, and we need to make it work on here. Whether it opens or closes or not, I don't really care. I don't think the owner cares. But something that we need to do. We need to do the radio and the vent. We need to paint the gas tank and put that back in. We need to paint the bracketry for the transmission cooler. It's bent. We need to straighten it and paint it, and then reinstall that. We need to sandblast the insides of both doors and the outsides. The outsides have been stripped, but there's, you know, a bunch of areas that need to be hit. And we need to sandblast it inside and outside of the hood. So those are the things that, like, you know, I can see that we're headed, that we you know, it's just small little piddly things that need to be wrapped up before we, you know, start moving on to body work and paint and all that stuff. We're getting close. The list is getting small. What else was I thinking? Like I said, we got to strip the dashboard. We got to pull this windshield trim out. That's going to get painted blue, so we need to pull that out. That needs to get sandblasted. Yeah, there's a bunch of little stuff. I think I'm gonna write a list over on the whiteboard over there. I think we're gonna get that cleaned up and start writing a list. You know, we need to sandblast around the window trim, like where the windows fit, front and back. You know, windshield and back, just so when we're putting in the new window, that it's going into clean metal. We're not going super crazy on the inside. It's getting bed lined black, but you know, we need to go through and kind of sand and scuff and clean up everything for that to happen. You know, that's another thing. We need to make the seat mounts. I got all the metal to do that. We just need to make them and make them fit and bolt in. You know, there's little things like, you know, we need to cut these off and clean those up so that nobody's getting hurt on them. We need to sandblast the glove box and get that painted. Yeah, I mean, it's just, like I said, there's a bunch of little stuff that we need to tie up the loose ends, or can tie up the loose ends along the way. So, but yeah. So I should have been writing that list down as I was mumbling it off to you guys. I'll see you guys in a little bit. I'm not sure where we're headed now. It is lunchtime, so I think we're going to be headed into lunch. And then when we come back out, either we're going to start messing with the radio, or I'm going to strip the dashboard first. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, well, we're back out here. I think we're gonna start removing the windshield trim and take the ashtray out and start stripping this dashboard, getting it cleaned up. I got a meeting that I gotta jump onto here in a little bit, so let's see what we can do before then. Start doing some stripping. I think I did find all the hardware for the bolts for the fenders and everything. I didn't look through it, but I was over by the bed earlier and there was a box in there full of bags with nuts and bolts in it. So pretty sure it's over there like I thought. Yeah, this paint's just peeling off. I'm gonna clean up to the edge here with this 80 grit because it has this this paper rope in here that the interior is supposed to like staple to and whatnot. I don't want to ruin that. Alright, well, we got that dashboard all cleaned up. Much better being all bare metal. I don't know if you guys could see it in the video, the paint just gumming up and peeling off. It did not grind off, it did not sand off, it smeared off. So, definitely much better that is gone and we have a fresh start. It makes me think the door jambs need to be done. You know, a portion of the door jambs are already done because we replaced the rocker. We did a lot of work around the hinge area, putting the new door catch thing in, and then a lot of heating and welding around there that peeled the paint off, so that they had to get cleaned off. So we basically just have the top section and part of the rear pillar where the door actually latches. So I think we're probably gonna end up stripping those two. I wasn't going to, it wasn't part of the original plan, but with how much work we've done inside the jams already, a lot of it's already stripped. And now seeing that whatever that brown is that's on there, it didn't cure. So I don't know what it was. It was cracking and peeling all off of it. So there was something, they didn't put the hardener in there or something. It was a single stage that they, you know, didn't put enough hardener in or didn't put any in. So, you know, I think we'll be stripping those door jambs as well. I still got to do inside the glove box openings and inside the old gauge opening in the middle. I may just run in there with some 80 grit DA and see what happens. If not, we'll do what we just did. So, but I got that meeting I gotta jump on too, so I will see you guys in the next one. We're out here on the Jeep today. We left off last night with getting that dashboard all cleaned up. Still a couple things that we got to clean up on it, but for the most part, it's 99% done. So I've been telling you guys about this radio / gauge setup that we got. It hooks up through the ODB2 plug, and it'll give you speedometer and tach and all that stuff right on the screen of the radio. So I've peeked at it, but I haven't investigated what we got going on here yet, or how we're gonna make it install into the vehicle. So we're gonna start taking a look at that and seeing if we can figure out what we need to do, because this definitely isn't for this vehicle. So we have to make it work. It has to be sturdy. Can't be driving down the road and have the thing shaking and vibrating all over the place. So whatever we do has to be good and strong. So I'm gonna pop you guys down here so that you guys can see. So this is it, and it gives you, you know, there's plenty of room. You know, it's not like your regular radio where, you know, it, you know, sticks out this far. So that's good. We needed clearance to be able to use that electronic solenoid thing to lift the vet up and down. So looks like we got some screws here. And it looks like we got these plates here that need to go onto the back. I'm not worried about any of the wiring. I could care less about that at the moment. Looks like there's some instruction. So it looks like those go like so, and you got two different options there. I don't know why they give you so much slide adjustment there. You don't, you can't go nowhere with it. Sorry, my head is probably right in your way. Okay, so walk over to the vehicle and we'll just pop her in the hole here. I kind of got an idea of what we're gonna do So if you guys see in here, so right here there is this bolt, or a threaded you know, bolt sticking out the back. It's part of the dashboard. There's one on this side too that the old gauge cluster used to mount to. So what I'm thinking is that get a piece of flat stock that we can drill a hole in, bend it over, come in across over to this side and connect to that one. And then when we pop the radio in, the radio will actually screw to the flat stock that's back here. So, and I want this thing flush. We're gonna flush mount it to this guy. You know what I may do here? Wipe this down, we'll wipe this down, and I'll stick a piece of double-sided sticky tape on here. And we can double-side sticky tape it in. Just for the time being, so that we can maybe take some measurements and see what we got to do to build a bracket in the back. You know, how far away are we? Like, you know, if, you know, it would be nice if we could cut this down to be like this big, and then slide these in from the back, and it would bolt to these threaded rods right to this. That would be nice, but no, they don't even come over far enough. But that doesn't mean that we can't put them in the brake and bend them, right? I wonder if we could just do that. We might be able to just use these. Hopefully we can stick this on here and be able to get it back off. That would be my only worry. Okay, I kind of left the double-sided sticky tape hanging out so that maybe I can grab it. I guess let's sit in here and make sure we're centered. All right. Good. Seems like it's stuck on there. Sure hope that it's not. I haven't touched this thing. Okay. This looked like there was a gouge there. I was making sure it wasn't in the screen because he handed this to me and I put it in the house and haven't touched it. I think that looks pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with that. Now let's see. Let's see what we got going on underneath here. I'll take you guys with me. So I think maybe, you know, we may get rid of this and just put a break in this and bend that over. And see where we can get that thing to land, huh? Well, that worked pretty good. Let's see. Thinking we can turn these around for now, and so that way when we bend them, they're not hitting into the back of the dash. We can always trim it later. So I'm thinking if we bend it, you know, this will be sticking up like so. Not have left enough to get the screws in. Let's see. Is that? Oh yeah, that's close. Did not put those back in the same screw holes or same slots that I had it before. Okay, absolutely, I think that'll work. You can see right there where the stud was scratching it, so that's in the vicinity of where we need to be. And just hopefully, you know, may have to make a spacer that goes in between here. Maybe, I don't know. It looks like it'd be close. My only concern, like I said before, is the wobbling. I don't want this thing wobbling around. And I guess, you know, worst case scenario, what I could do is some extra reassurance is that once we get this bolted in, and the dashboard is done, we could actually, you know, put a couple pieces of double-sided sticky tape on there, just to make sure that it does not wibble wobble. So I'm just going to take this, take this back over to the brake and just make sure So I'm just gonna, it's nice having this fender to sit you guys back on. Just make sure that we're getting this in the exact same spot. Alright, just use a screwdriver and put a couple scratches where we need to be. We were close, but the light coming through here, I could not see where our marks were. I was wrong. I think that's better. Let's grab the other piece and take a look. So, I think we're pretty close there. So I don't think that we need this. I think that we can cut that off. Okay. Let's just make sure that our new piece that we just bent, which one? This one. Can't even tell that I hammered it out. Being that these, we got a couple different slots that we can choose from here to use, I wonder if by switching it, can we get one of these slots to actually land on the back of the dashboard where we need it to and not have to drill I have to drill a new hole. Can we just use the slots that are there? Almost like it was meant to be. So, you can see with the scratch that we had from that, if we move it, would it fall right in place? Only fun part that I see is, I think that we are going to have to install these in the truck, which I don't think is going to be very fun. Or at least one of them. Yeah, because we're not going to be able to get this through the opening like that. Check. Okay, so it looks like where I have them right now, it would fall right in that slot, which would I would be okay with. But as far as being able to get to the screw in between here, that is a no-go. So if we turned them around, then we could get to them. But that definitely will close up the gap between the dashboard and this. Is there enough room? I definitely won't know with this on here. It definitely looks like we could screw it on that way. I think I'm gonna lose this part of it. I don't see any reason that we need to keep it. Alright, I clipped that off. I left just a little bit extra, just for now, maybe, you know, strength purposes. So I'm going to do this one the same way. You know, we can clean up and round up these edges so that they're not sharp if we end up keeping it that way. Okay, so with that flipped around, now we can get to the screws from behind the dashboard. So now at least we could get to those, and hopefully this will clear the dashboard. I'm gonna go stick my head under the dashboard. Sorry I'm not bringing you guys with me under the dashboard, but going back and forth with this and the camera and all that, when we get a little closer to figuring out what it is that we're gonna be doing, I'll bring you guys back in there. Move the bracket over to the other slots. If I get it right and this works, we'll put a little mark on there so that we know which slots it is that we're going to be using, so we don't continue to have to go back and forth with doing this. Looks like we line up with this slot right here, so we're good. I don't think that this slot will fit over that screw, so I'm gonna check that real quick. No. will not, which is fine. I'm just gonna mark it. What we're gonna do is, so I don't want to cut this open and then have this flappy from this, but we do need to open up this slot for it to fit over the bolt hole, so, or the stud. So I'm gonna get underneath there. I'm gonna mark just to make sure which one it is that we're doing, and we'll open this up a little. Take this back off. We're going to put the radio somewhere else because I do not want any metal shavings of any sort near this radio. That's why I've been keeping it in the house. So I got these couple of slots marked. I'm just going to safely open them up. We are good. Both of those fit now. So what I'm gonna do is bring the radio back over here. Shake the dust and flip my towel over. No metal. We'll bolt one of these back on the radio. Like I said, the other one's gonna have to get installed in the truck, so. Not quite sure how that's gonna work yet. Should have marked them. I said I was gonna. I did not. Alright, let's go check, see if I put it in the wrong slots or not. Put it in the wrong slot, or don't know if we put it in the wrong slot, but I got wrong one on the wrong side. This time I gotta remember to mark them before I take them off, right and left, and which slots we're using the screws in. All right. Now, we haven't put the other side in yet. That's gonna be it's gonna be fun, but it is in there. And it's a nice tight fit too. So I think You know, worst case scenario, I have like thin foam that's sticky on one side than the other, and we can put that on the back of the radio so that there's a little foam cushion between the dashboard and this. That way there's no rattling or anything. So yeah, I think that, dude, we're good to go. You know, I don't think getting this piece on is going to be fun. You know, I think taking the radio in and out is going to be a chore. But I sure let's steal your guys' light. Nah, that won't be too bad. Little shorty screwdriver, easy peasy. I think the hardest part will be dropping the screws down my sweatshirt. Little stubby screwdriver here. Should work. We have plenty of room for all the other activities. I actually just need a longer screwdriver. Oh, just screwing my mouth, it almost went down my throat. Again, drop the screw down my sweatshirt. So, the hardest part, I think, is going to be getting them started. Alright, it's just all about having the right screwdriver. So I needed a screwdriver that had a sloppy fit on it. I think the one bend that's on this side that actually screws to the radio, we need to open it up a little bit. Well, the thing is that to get it over the bolt, I pulled it that way to get it up over the bolt, and then it stayed like that. So the radio's a little sloppy on this side. So we need to bend that back, and you know, this is probably going to be a two-man job, and I'm going to have somebody hold the radio out here while I bolt everything on in the back. But ta-da! We have a radio in there. We have a plan. We have plenty of room. We're good to go. Super happy, super stoked. I'm gonna take a picture and send it to my buddy. I'm sure he's gonna be super happy. I think on to the next thing, which is probably gonna be that vent. I said in yesterday's video, we got sandblast that vent, get it all body worked out, do whatever we need to do, and get it painted so that I can put the rubber seal on. And kind of sucks that we're gonna paint it, we're gonna put the rubber seal on, and then I gotta make sure everything works. We gotta make a new hinge setup out of some 1/8" steel, and we gotta weld it up. Then we're gonna have to, tape off that seal or whatnot and paint it again. I'm hoping that the second time we paint it, we're just painting the brackets. May even just tape everything off and just paint the brackets black. I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't know. But we got to get it painted so that we can glue that seal on. So then I can make the bracketry for it and make sure that it's correct. If that makes any sense. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.